All the ammo used in this video was brought to you by Nosler, maker of the most innovative, most accurate, and most effective bullets and ammunition in the industry.
Glock 45 Gen 5. I've always said if I was ever a cop and I had to have a duty gun, more than likely it would be the 19X. But theoretically speaking, if we're going to be honest, it'd probably be a G45, Glock 45, 5th generation or whatever generation they have for the 45. I don't know what generation they're on. They're like 9,000 of them. Actually, there's only 5, but whatever. So one of the biggest reasons why I'm such a big fan of the G45 or the Glock 45, whatever, is the way they have it set up. So you have basically the grip of the 17 with the slide of a 19. And what that does, at least for me, I think it changes the character of the way this gun recoils and the way it shoots, because you get the leverage that you get from the G17 grip without the mass that you get from a G17 slide. So for those who don't really understand the difference between the G17, so forth and so on, basically think about it like this. You have a mid-size slide on a full-size frame. And so I typically like that type of setup on my guns, especially when I'm talking about Glocks, because they just recoil so beautifully and they just sit on the target so disrespectfully. I love it. But for the most part, I mean, it's a Glock. I mean, there's not really much to say above and beyond the fact that it's a Glock. They also have, you have this texturing here, which I do wish they would bring back the RTF texture. For those like true Glock fans, they know what I'm talking about when I say RTF. Now this
RAM, but I recently just picked up this 19. As you all know from my past videos, I'm a huge fan of the RTF generation Glocks in Gen 3 with the crescent moon serration along with the aggressive stippling. And
this is kind of like some new age upgraded version of the original RTF texturing that you have on the gun here on this grip. But nonetheless, you got the upgraded RTF. Then you also have your standardized magazine release here. Of course, you have your basic garden variety serrations on the slide. But with this one, it comes optics mounted ready. So this is their MOS. And so what this does is it gives you the ability to mount a red dot on there. You have your suppressor height sights as well. Of course, you have your rail attachment for your lights. But by and large, man, it's a Glock. There's nothing to really sing and dance and just get jolly about.
Have you ever thought about making a living in the firearm industry? If you enjoy gun repairs, ballistics, and learning about firearms, Sonoran Desert Institute online courses might just be a good fit for you. To find out more about them, visit www.sdi.edu today.
However, I will say, when it comes to Glocks, this is my favorite one. This one, actually it's the 19X, but the 19X and the G45 are pretty much the same gun. The only difference is, there's some minor differences, like you don't have necessarily the bevel here in the magazine well. This one is designed, it has the maritime cups on this one. More or less, this is still easily easily my favorite Glock to shoot, because you can do stuff like this. Like, it just sits. It just sits. I know exactly what the slide's gonna do. I can anticipate the way it's gonna reciprocate. I don't have the mass moving back over, giving me a lot of muzzle rise. The gun just sits steady. And for me, that's incredibly important, especially for someone who likes to shoot as fast as I do. And as far as the trigger's concerned, honestly, when it comes to Glocks, you don't really know what you're gonna get outside of the box with their triggers, because some triggers are great, some triggers really suck, some triggers are kind of somewhere in the middle. This particular one, and that's your take up. There you go. And then you got your, there you go, your little give right there. There's your take up right there. There's your wall. There's your brake. There's your reset. Honestly, this is actually a really good one. I'm gonna go so far as to say I think this gun has actually been shot quite a bit. We're actually out here right now at Gunsite for an event with Glock, Nosler, and Yamaha. So I decided to grab one of these off the table, went over to another berm. The guys at Gunsite have been pretty accommodating from that standpoint and let me come over here and shoot this video on the Glock 45, which I have done a video on the Glock 45, but I didn't. It was a heavily modified Glock 45. So I didn't really present a stock version of the Glock 45. So that's kind of honestly what I wanted to do here. There's really honestly not much to say about this gun, except for other than the fact that if I were gonna have a duty gun, if I were a cop, it would probably be a G45 if it was a Glock I was gonna carry. Other than that, you got your ability to run your red dot on here, but everything else is pretty standard garden variety Glock. And I love this setup. I love the smaller slide with the bigger frame. The weird thing about it though too is I don't really like the 17. Everyone loves the 17. I don't like the 17. But I'll take this over 17 all day long, even though it has a 17 grip. And I know it sounds weird, but in a lot of ways, it's the small things that really make a big difference when it comes to shooting, especially when you've been shooting a lot and you're trying to figure out, okay, which gun is it that I want to go with? Small things start to make a big impression. So there you have it, Glock 45, chambered in 9mm. And yeah, so we're gonna go back and do some shooting over here at Gunsite in this beautiful Arizona day. Peter's like in the video already because they're dragging on and this gimbal is heavy. But I want to make Peter suffer. I want him to feel it. I want him to get those forearms strong.
You know, we talk a lot about empowerment in this country, except for when it comes to the Second Amendment. However, I can't think of anything more empowering than having the most effective tool to protect you and your family. So help me spread this message by liking and sharing this video with everyone you know. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment, because the Second Amendment, when it said militia, it wasn't talking about the government. It was talking about you. Also, if you want to know where to find the I'm the Militia shirt and merchandise, click the I'm the Militia link in the description section of this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, make sure you hit that bell symbol.